but in the end delivered us nothing but stress that we tried to compensate with funny ideas. We thought of something different. A simple idea that turns idle workspace into places where you connect with companies, nothing but stress, where you share knowledge with other creative minds or digital nomads. We thought where you are is where you work. A simple idea that you turns idle fewer hours on the road places where and you gain precious time for a better work-life balance. It's called Work Hero. Is it a game changer?
I beg your pardon?
We like to think so, but we'll let you be the judge of that. Check out Work Hero on workhero.com. Work Hero, connecting space and knowledge.
Hello, good morning. Hello, everyone. And for sure, thank you for so much for connecting to this fourth panel of the first online session, 100 Women Plus project. This is a meeting point to discuss women entrepreneurship challenges and opportunities And the global title is Opportunities for Green and Digital Entrepreneurship and European Funding. This event has been taking place during this month of June. Today is the 4th, and tomorrow we will have the last event, the last meeting, but we hopefully will have extra or other events after the summer, so we will let you know in September other training sessions and so on. What else? In this event, we've been analyzing the potential and possibilities in the intersection of green initiatives and digital technologies applied to the Women's Entrepreneurship Contest. Today, we will focus in the green and sustainable economy, in the opportunities for green and sustainable economy. So I am now passing the mic to my colleague, Esther Embomío. She's a journalist with international experience in diplomacy and corporate communications. She's currently handling communications and institutional relations in Finnova. I hope you enjoy this journey. I am Carla Garcia, sorry I forget to present myself. I'm also part of Finnova. I'm coordinating this 100 Women Plus project. So again, thank you for joining us. Esther, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla. As you said, which are the current opportunities in the green and sustainable economy, and which is the role of women entrepreneurs? The green and sustainable economy offers fantastic opportunities, especially for women entrepreneurs. It's a perfect chance to make a real difference while building successful businesses. And in this field, there's a wide range of sectors to explore, like renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and clean technology. Women entrepreneurs bring fresh perspectives and can come up with innovative solutions to apply different systems and different innovative methods into the environmental challenges response. Getting more women involved in the green economy not only benefits the planet, but also boosts economic growth and creates jobs. By supporting women entrepreneurs in this field, we can inspire others and pave the way for greener and more equal future, according to the European Union objectives for this 2023. To seize these opportunities, we need to provide resources like funding, mentorship, networks, and by doing so, we empower women entrepreneurs to drive sustainable innovation and build successful businesses that make a positive impact in the planet. The renewable energy sector is experiencing significant growth. According to the International Renewable Energy Agency, renewable energy employ over 11 million people globally by 2018, a few years ago. Also, sustainable businesses practice can lead to cost savings. And the circular economy has the potential to generate economic benefits. So in this sense, we would like to take the opportunity to remind that the catalog 100 Women Plus is now open. This is an initiative for 100 Women Plus. And in order to develop this catalog, we are collecting experiences and success histories of women entrepreneurs from both continents, Africa and Europe, with the objective of gaining better knowledge about women entrepreneurs and showcase. And our intention is expose them on the media and or different partners. That way we can just promote and support in female entrepreneurship. So please, if you want to participate and be part of this insightful catalog, use this QR code right here at the image, and we'll bring you to the formulary and link to subscribing. Now we are gonna continue with our speakers and participants. Our first speaker today is Adrián Noeda. He's project manager at Finnova, and he specializes in innovation, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. So please, let's welcome our first speaker today. He's gonna speak about European funding for sustainability and the environment. And he's also gonna introduce the LIFE program and the main funding in this sense. Thank you so much for being with us, Adrian. We are ready to hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to share the screen for the presentation. Just 1 minute. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we see it.
So I'm going to talk briefly because I'm going to talk briefly about the LIFE program. LIFE program is the biggest program in Europe for the environment to fund environmental projects in all the European Union. It exists since 31 years ago, so it was created in 1992. And last year was the celebration of the 30 years of this program. It has funded more than 5,000 projects, environmental projects in some fields like water, waste, also nature and biodiversity. For example, it's very relevant, this program, to protect the Iberian lynx. Just for example, it has been protected and saved from extinction thanks to the LIFE program. And well, we will see later a few of the programs and the different lines that it include the LIFE program. It for the next years it has more than 5,000 million euros until 2027, and the objective is to fund the priorities, the environmental priorities in Europe. Okay. Well, as I was telling you, it's for more than 5,000 million euros, billion in English, with more than 5,000 projects approved since 92. Okay, there are different type of actions that we are not going to enter in all of them because they are quite complicated. Let's say that there are one type of projects that are standard. Let's say the traditional projects, the standard actions, and there are some specific, more smaller and more specific projects like the strategic, integrated. There are some for technical assistance and other projects. I'm going to mention just a little bit in a few minutes the other actions, and then we will focus on the standard actions that are the most important and the ones that are more relevant for all of you. There are some kind of projects that are focused on regional governments, like the strategic nature projects and strategic integrated projects. They are focused on implementing strategical regional plans and strategies. So, for example, there is a regional government who wants to implement the climate change strategy in the region. So these type of projects are complemented with other funds, and you apply to help you implement your strategy. It's focused only on that, and it usually goes with other EU funds or other private or public funds that the government already has. There are other type of actions for NGOs. There are specific actions focused on NGOs. Okay. There are also other actions for technical assistance. There are one type of new project that has been created this year, and it's totally new. It's for the technical assistance for replication projects. So these type of projects funds the continuation on other EU projects. For example, I have already approved LIFE, already approved Horizon, and this type of projects helps me, let's say, to commercialize, continue, replicate the actions that I already developed. And then it's the standard actions that it's the most relevant and the ones that has the 85% of the total funding of the LIFE program. The standard actions are divided in 4 sub-programs, okay? Nature and biodiversity, circular economy, climate science, and clean energy transition. The one with more budget is nature and biodiversity, and it's focusing in protecting species, protecting habitats, etc. It needs more money because this type of activities usually require more budget to implement these activities. And then we also have 1.3 billion and 1 billion in climate science and circular economy that it includes everything related to waste, water, farming, agriculture, forestry, firefighting, everything related to any kind of these fields are could be in circular economy and climate science. There are even some of some projects that could be included in climate science or circular economy. For example, if I want to save water, okay, save water could be circular economy, but to save water, it could be also be helping mitigate the effects of climate change. So at the end, it could be included in both. So it's important that we read very carefully the guidelines, and we focus in the one that fits better for our project. We have a project, so the first thing is to read all the programs and to decide which one fits better. These three sub-programs, I'm not entering yet in the clean energy transition. These three programs that I mentioned are funded at 60%. This means that if a project, for example, has a total cost of 1 million euros, European Union gives you a grant of 60% of this 1 million, 600,000 euros. The other 40% has to be with your own funds or with your private investors or whatever. So they give you 60% of the cost, and the rest you have to put it, but not from the beginning. You have to put it in, for example, if the project it lasts 3 years, you have to put it with the personnel cost, with all the costs that you have during these 3 years. Not doesn't mean that you need the 40% at the beginning of the project. And there are some exceptions. For example, in nature and biodiversity, the co-funding goes to 67%, an extra 7%. And if you are focusing on a species or priority habitats, for example, a species that it's very rare and it's in the list of protected species, it could go up to 75% of co-financing. So it means that they give you 75% of all the costs. And then we have the clean energy transition sub-program. It also has 1 billion euros, and this is focus. This is completely different. Let's forget about life program and clean energy transition. It's totally different. This sub-program it's funded to 95% of co-financing, so almost 100% of the cost, and it's focused on governance, exchange of experience, and so on, for renewable energy, efficiency energy, energy communities, promoting financing in energy, these kind of activities. It's a program that doesn't fund projects pilot or development of activities, but studies and governance and new legislations, etc. So it's a bit different. The priorities are a bit different. Okay. What else? Well, we can see here, for example, the different type of projects and different priorities in the different sub-programs. For example, a lot of the projects in circular economy are funded under the priority objective of agriculture forestry, for example, and a lot of others with construction, on textile, food and beverage, etc. So we could see that it enters almost all type of waste and different type of activities, but most of them are in one of the other sectors. Okay. Let's go directly to the requirements for a live project. It's these type of projects are usually require a consortium, a small consortium. This doesn't need to be a very big and very complex consortium. It could be only a local consortium in your same locality. It doesn't even need a transnational or transregional consortium. For example, you as a company with my public hall, with my regional government, or with another company, with an university. It could be whoever we want, and all type of partners could be from public entities, private entities, startups, big companies, or even non-profit organizations. So it's open to every kind of participants. Usually the consortium has, it needs to have a strong leader, because at the end it has to be coordinated by someone with experience and financial capacity. So it's important that if we don't have enough capacity, economical capacity and experience, we go with a partner that provides this capacity. Okay, what else? Usually the partners is from 2, 3 partners to 4, 5, 6 partners. They don't need to be very big consortiums. In fact, it's not recommended very big consortium. They are usually the average, it's 3 partners, 2, 3, 4 partners. Also, the total budget on average, the projects are around 1-2 million euros, but there is a minimum of 0.7 and a maximum of 10 million euros, depending of the projects. But very few exceptions go more than 5 million euros. The average, the really average, it's 1-3 million euros. It's the recommended amount that you have to request. Also, the number of years are again the same. The minimum is 1. You could do a project with 1 year and the maximum is 10, but not one project with 1 year. It has no sense. It has no time enough, and 10 years is too much for anything. So the average at the end is 3, 4, 5 years for a project proposal. And I was telling you before, the co-financing is from 60%. The normal is 60%, could go to 75%, and in a specific case of offset of the clean energy transition subprogram, go to 95%. Okay, here you can see the different projects with the different co-financing rates. And this is a program that every year has a call since the last 30 years. So all the years you will have a call, don't worry about. But only one per year, and the next one is in September. So anyone who wants to apply for a live project needs to start working right now, because in most of the projects, September 6th is the deadline for circular economy and climate change. Okay, and 21% for the other subprogram. The clean energy transition, as I was telling you before, is totally different. The deadline it's also different. You have until mid-November. And then the other type of projects that are less common has different deadlines, and you can see if you are interested in one of them, you will have it there. Every year the deadlines are similar. Usually they are launched in April, May, and they close in September, October. So more or less every year you will have the same deadlines. To apply for a live project, you need to go to the European platform, European Participant Portal, like all the other EU projects from the European Commission. It's exactly the same platform than the Horizon projects or other programs. You have the platform, you look for the call that you are interested, the program that you are interested, and you press the Apply Here button. You will have, when it's open, you have that button, and then you upload all the documents. Okay, usually it requires a template that they provide you with 120 pages. And then in the template, they ask you questions for your project. You need to explain everything. You need to add all the information of what your project is about, what you are going to do in the project, what amount of money you are requesting, etc. Okay, Okay, then you get an evaluation. All the aspects are evaluated, from the quality of your project, the impact, the consortium is also evaluated, etc. And it's important to highlight that there are 5 bonus points that you need to it's good if you go for them, because it will give you these extra points that you could need to get successful in this call. And it's for example, if you have transnational activities, it's not compulsory, but if you have transnational activities with more than one country, you will get extra points. If you have, for example, partners in an ultra-peripheric region, like in Canary Island, as today here, you get extra points. So just a project being implemented in Canary Island, it has already extra points that the others doesn't have. So it's something very positive. Also, if you want to replicate the project and you have a replicate potential, you have extra points. And then if you have several if, for example, your project has approaches in different subprograms, you have extra points as well. Okay. And that more or less, that's all for the live program. I tried to be very fast because at the end there is a lot of different questions and a lot of different specific issues. But if anyone has any question, please contact us and we will discuss it better. I'm going to mention just in 1 minute before the time runs out, the Innovation Fund. The Innovation Fund is a EU fund program for environment as well, for clean energies, So it is funded by the carbon commercial bonuses. So, for example, the ones that emit emissions, they pay, and with that money, they created this fund. So it's 10 billion euros. So it's a lot of money for the next 10 years. And it's focused on new plans for renewable energy, for industries intensive in energy, for example. So all the industries, the cement industry and so on, that they use a lot of energy, to try to avoid this energy use with new renewable energies and so on. It can be funded in this. Everything, all the clean energy could be funded here. And it's important to mention that this is the opposite of the LIFE program. Like the LIFE program, it funded projects, innovative projects, okay, innovative projects for you to develop some solution. I have a problem, I develop a solution, innovative solution to solve that problem. But it doesn't fund to build a new plant, doesn't fund to the infrastructure to prepare the factory, to prepare the all the energy production. But here, the Innovation Fund, it's the opposite. What it gives you is the investment, a grant to invest in your energy plant. For example, I want to build a new hydrogen production plant. So this fund is for that. It gives you up to there is 2 different types of projects: small scale and large scale. The small scale, it gives you up to 2.5 million euros, small scale, 2.5 million euros. But the large scale, it gives you up to 15 million euros, 15 million euros to build a new plant. So it's quite a big project. The funds are 60% of co-financing. If you want more information, you can check this video. When I'm not going to put a video, but you can check it and to see what the project is about. Usually, this is not for consortiums, doesn't need to be consortium, but it's open also to consortiums. So at the end, but small consortium, let's say, for a typical project could be, for example, a port authority that they want, a public entity, the port authority, for example, that they want to build a some energy production plant in their facilities to produce energy for themselves, and an energy and engineering company to build all the plants and to build the plant, for example, and that consortium is adequate for this kind of project. Or it's just an example, could be a private entity, could be a public entity. It's open to any type of consortium, but it's important here, it's important that it also needs the engineering company, because to apply for this call, you need to submit a viability plan. You need to submit the plans and the plans of the plan that you are going to build with all the details. So it's quite difficult, and you need really an engineering company that already does all these activities before applying. So some of the examples, yeah, you can here check the examples of this kind of projects, for example, that they approved in the last years. Okay, and that's all. If anyone has a question or wants to discuss something, please, you can contact us and we'll discuss it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adrian. I'm not sure if anyone have any question. It's a good moment to drop any questions or comments you would like to share.
Yes, I would like to have a question. I would like to know, first of all, how could somebody participate in this kind of programs? There would be another session maybe for someone to say that I'm interested to know more. There is maybe another info session about these programs. Or we have to speak directly to you, Mr. Nojeda?
You could speak directly to me, and we'll analyze the project that you propose, and we'll see. This is to apply for this kind of projects directly to the European Commission. There is not. You don't have to go to your country or to any intermediary. You go directly to the European Commission page. But we could support you in the process, or at least we could inform you of how to do it and how to better do it. And we will also check if the project fits in this program, or we could analyze another type of programs as well. But yes, please, I think my colleagues could give you my email account, and
Yes.
And I will write here. And if you want, we could have a conversation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elena, for taking the lead to participate and ask some questions. We see that these type of encounters are perfect in terms to create cooperation, connections, collaborations, and that's the main goal. So
Okay,
thank
great.
you.
I also have a question. I would like to know a bit more about the Innovation Fund. You said before that it's normally for companies, but can be a public administration apply for this proposal? I mean,
Yeah,
it can be covered, it can be done for public infrastructure, and is the leader the public entity?
Yeah. Usually usually it could be public or private. It doesn't matter. In fact, most of the cases will be public, because if you want to build, for example, the example that I put, for example, with a port authority, because we had a success case in Spain, a public port authority, they applied, they were successful, and they are a public entity. But it could be also a cabildo, could be also a city hall, for example. But of course, they need the investment. They need to invest in a plant, and of course, they also need to create the viability plan, the feasibility plan. They need to create all the plans and the structure of the plan. So they need the support of a private company, an engineering company that is going to build the plant. The public entity probably won't be won't be in charge of that. But they will be the leaders. They will be the ones that pay for the plant, and they will be the ones that use the energy. Depending, for example, if it's a project in energy intensive entities, energy intensive industries, probably a public entity doesn't have their very much competences, because it's, for example, a cement company, a concrete company, that they want to develop a new system to be more energy efficient in their system. So it's just for them. In this case, it will be only for them. But of course, a public entity could participate, and we've been analyzing the possibility with Fuerteventura as well to apply for some kind of projects in Fuerteventura. So they are eligible, and they could go for this call if they want. Yeah.
And just the last question, a company to a business, a company to apply there, they need to be at least 1 year before established, or that kind of requirements?
There is no requirement, but of course, we are talking here that it's 60% grant, 60% co-financing grant. And if you are applying for 10 million euros, for example, it means they give you 6 million euros. You need to have 4 million euros. And these kind of projects are not like life, for example, that you fund your personnel and in 4 years, little by little. Here, you need to build a plant, to build infrastructure, to put all the metal and the concrete in the floor. So you need a lot of money to start with the investment. So you could be a company, but if you are a startup that doesn't have any economical capacity, you won't be able. At least you have investors behind you.
Okay. Thank you.
We also have a question on behalf of Dulcinea Ortiz, and she's asking if is there any database available to find potential consortium in terms to link with people for the LIFE project.
Yeah, there is databases in each subprogram. You could check in the participant portal, because a lot of companies, they offer their expertise to enter in new projects, and they also, for example, they offer their project to look for people that are interested in joining. There are also, in each country, there is also networking events in the LIFE program that they usually are info days that explain the program, and then they have a space for networking and to look for new partners. And also, at last, you could contact us. We are working in a lot of LIFE proposals. We could help all of you to try to enter in one or another project, and looking for partners for your projects that you have the idea.
Thank you so much, Dulcinea. Yes, just saying thanks for the information provided, and maybe if you could share a link, Adrián Nojeda, it will be really appreciated.
Yeah, we will send I don't have the link right now, but we will send you the information with the presentation for the ones that are interested.
Thank you. So we are going to continue with our next panelist and speaker, which is Pilar de Llamas. Pilar is coordinator of Mixed Textile Generation at Finnova Foundation, and she's going to count on the support of Laura Ross. Pilar intervention will bring us closer to the opportunities and challenges of the green economy and the fashion textile sector, a very important one in terms of improvement for acceleration of sustainability. At the end of the intervention, we will meet Laura Ross, who will tell us about her volunteering experience, which will undoubtedly contribute to offering a broad perspective on opportunities within the textile sector. We hear you, Pilar, and thank you so much for being with us today. We can see the screen right now, but we cannot hear you.
Hello?
Now we hear you. Thank you.
Welcome everyone, and thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And I like to introduce myself. I want to start talking about the challenge and opportunities for green economy and some entrepreneurs Europe projects and sustainable textile tenders. Next. FINOVA is the European foundation that supports the financing of innovation in companies, regions, and municipalities. And first, the initiative Next Textile Generation has arisen within the circular economy area of the FINOVA Foundation. Next, areas the specialization, textile circular economy, social innovation textile, waste reduction management, and training for employment and youth. Next. Some challenges in the textile and fashion sector, it's important mention the COSME. COSME is a project co-funded by the program of the European Union, aims to empower small, medium-sized enterprises to introduce new sustainable and circular economy products, services, methods, tools, and business models for the fashion industry. CIRCOAS is an accelerator for SME startups and entrepreneurs in the fashion and textile sectors, through which 13 beneficiaries can receive mentoring as well as technical and financial assistance to promote best practices that contribute to achieving these sustainability and circularity goals. Next, please. The objective principal to Next Textile Generation is to promote new innovative projects within a circular economy in a transversal way towards new strategic circular models, spreading social innovation in an accessible way and generating a triple positive impact at environmental, social, and economic level in an environmentally efficient way, applying financial tools for the improvement and development of the sector's ecosystem together with new technological advances and development of capacities for the professionalization of the sector. Next, please. Some activities are fostering international cooperation in textile circular economy, transformative and social innovative. And next, it stimulates the generation of new methodologies and disruptive tools to achieve the sustainable development goals. Some number 8, decent work and economic growth. Number 9, industries, innovation and infrastructure. Number 11, sustainable cities and communities. And finally, number 12, responsibility, consumption and production. In turn, Next Textile Generation is made up of 4 Europe projects. Among them is the Circual Accelerator of the COSME Circular Innovator program approved by the European Commission. And the other projects are Fashion for Change, S for Fashion, and Small but Perfect. Next, please. And most important is the Circular Textile Economy Strategy for 2030. Europe create a framework for the transition of the textile sector. We argue the negative impact, overconsumption, low quality work, loss of fossil resources, and pollution of the planet. Another ways, there are 3 points very important. The first, boosting the Europe market for sustainable textile products. There are different normatives for 2025, 2030, and 2050. The second, the industrial competitiveness and innovation of the sector, durable and recyclable, free and dangerous substances. And third, the new business circular models caring for the environment, respecting social rights. Next, please. There are some principal problems for green solution to reduce environment impact. One of them is textile waste and millions of microplastic in single walls, and the new eco-design. It's more important textile waste separate the different materials and recycling of textile products of added value. Reference of microplastic, there are better to choose natural fibers than synthetic fibers. And about the co-design, applying now all the industry are working about the circular design and to products for a durable life cycle, and eco-living is more important. Next, please. And new opportunities for green economy, for example, I can see in Reuse. Reuse is an international non-profit network supporting the development of social enterprises in the circular economy through innovative policies and partnerships and the exchanges of best practices. The social enterprises represent within special in the field of reuse, repair, and recycling. They generate invaluable social, economic, and environmental impacts by improving local and inclusive employment, as well as a strong sense of belonging for the most vulnerable in their communities. Some projects in Spain, you can see Moda Re and Coopera Mediterránea. In other ways, you can see another project, the Switch Green, a recent policy paper producer as part of the Switch of Circular Economy Value Chain projects, assesses how Europe policy in driving the transition to the circular economy, its impact on global value chains, and how producers in developing countries can navigate changing the markets. Next, please. For conclusions, go circular to stay competitive for green economy, producer countries will need to demonstrate leadership through bold industrial policy to reap a competitive advantage in green markets, which are accelerated by Europe's circular economy policy measures. Products that are more durable, repairable, and reusable, sourcing of renewable and recycled content. Finally, we should understand that we can all reduce the carbon footprint of a garment by how we use and dispose for it. It's obvious. Way to use fewer natural resources and therefore reduce pollution, to wear your garments as many times as possible and only washing them when absolutely necessary. Thank you very much for your attention. And now I introduce Laura Ross, a new team of Finova, and she has a nice experience. How do you think, Laura?
Hello, Pilar. Thank you for introducing me. And okay, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So, hello everybody. Like Esther already mentioned, I'm Laura and I'm doing my internship here in Finova. And I'm going to talk today about my experience as a volunteer in Africa, where I was contributing to a program that is all about women entrepreneurship and sustainable fashion. So first of all, I'm going to explain who I was in Africa with, and the name of the company is Step Africa, which is a non-profit organization which is located in Tanzania, Arusha, and is one of the main ones there since it has a lot of experience because it was founded in 2016 by Kira Uher, which was a girl that went there as a formal volunteer, and she fell in love with the place and realized how much there is to help. in places like this and went back with a degree and a project of entrepreneurship. So in Step Africa, they offer plenty projects as a volunteer and also as internship. Here we can see some of the ones they have. First of all, they have the community outreach program, which is when they go to tribus that are more far away from the city and that they don't have access to food or water or clothing. So we go with trucks with everything we can buy from the money we get from the projects and we bring them to them. Then the Girls and Empowerment business, which I'm going to explain more about it later because it's the one that I've been working with. And then there is 2 childcare projects, which are first of all, the one with babies and toddlers, and the second one with preschool and kindergarten, which there are families with difficult situations that they don't have the capacity of being able to be with the children all day because they have to work, and they obviously don't have money to pay someone to do it. So we as volunteers go there and take care of the children for the whole day. Then there are also teaching internship programs, which you could feel like you need to know a lot to do it, but the reality is not that, because only with teaching English or very basic knowledge we here all have, you can help a lot. And then medical and therapeutical internship, that this you can only do this if you are actually a student of medicine or nursing. And what they are doing with these programs are contributing towards international understanding, and they want to provide their participants with an intercultural and global ability to act. As a sustainable organization, together with the volunteers, they support worthy projects and initiatives in Tanzania. Okay, now about the Girls and Women Empowerment project, which is the one most important for the topic of today. So in Arusha, there is a house which is named Home of Malaika, which they do several projects because they join a volunteer from Step Africa, and then with this house, and they have made a place where they support women and children living in economic and social difficult circumstances in Mainsani, Arusha, which is like a marginal neighborhood where it's even more difficult to get there because there are not even shops or anything, and it's very far away from the center. And here in this house, they are doing 4 different projects, which the first one is the Sewing and Creative Project, which is the one I was helping with. Then there is the project named Ulinzi wa Kike, which means protection for women, where the volunteers go to local schools and they help them to sew their own reusable sanitary pads, because we know it's a number one necessity and they don't even have that there. So this is a project to help them be more independent and create their own pads. Then a sponsorship program, which is named Kukua Pamoja, which means grow together, which provides daycare and after school support for over 200 children, because in this house it's also a school in there with 200 children, and they also bring food, bring clothes, and at the same time the women are there doing the Sewing and Creative Project or different ones, their children can also be there, which is very nice for them. And the last one, which is the Family Friends Project, which supports families in needs through initial funding and business training. Okay, then about the Sewing and Creative Project inside Home Malaika, which is inside Step Africa. So it is a very small sewing project where we help African women with basic knowledge of business to help them develop their own business plan. So the thing is, we go there and we help and we teach them simple tasks, like for example, sewing their own tablecloths, suitcases. Here in the picture of the middle, we can see little angels. because this project started by selling that and then it evolved to many. And in the first picture, we can see how the classes are given. The thing is that for this woman that come here and are working in this project, they have employment for 3 days a week for 8 hours, and they are provided with a stable income, and we help their families to overcome the difficult circumstances, because we are talking about people that don't even have to eat, and for giving them hope and teaching them to create their own companies, to sew and all of that. We are helping a lot, like we are saving their lives literally. And okay, what I was myself doing there was first of all helping to sew these tablecloths that we can see in the pictures. So it is very simple, because you take metal sheets that people throw away and wasted fabric retals, and you cut a circle, and then you sew it around, and then you put it all together, like we can see in the bigger picture. So in this project, we are not only helping with women entrepreneurship, because we are also contributing with sustainable fashion, recycling, and circular economy, because all of the materials we are using will be thrown away if we don't use them, and we are giving them a new life, giving them to people that actually need this type of different ways of producing, because they don't have the capacity to buy new, and we are helping the planet and the people. So it has like all together. And also the colors are representing the native and traditional prints that are very common there. And for example, for people that is not from Africa, we are going to get attention from it, because they are very fun colors and also representative. So that is very nice. And the thing is that, for example, like the project of the pads, we are not only sewing this type of things to sell them, because they also have a useful use behind it, because this is actually for in the kitchen to hold the hot pot and pans, so you don't damage the table. So it's pretty, it represents a tradition, it's sustainable, you are helping others, and also it's useful. Okay, the conclusion. So about everything that I have learned about doing this is, first of all, the empowerment through entrepreneurship, because to witness how people that come from places where they don't have access to any information, and the thing is to only with providing them with different skills to do it, and then only to learn about entrepreneurship and also helping them to produce, we are empowering so much their lives, because we are giving a possibility that is completely independent, because for you to create your own company, you're not working for anyone else, and you are not depending, you depend from the economic situation of the country, but it's not as you are waiting for others to hire you when you have no knowledge. You can actually be independent and do something by yourself and create this type of things. And so we give them business classes, but if you go there, they are always going to be asking you questions. They are going to show you their business plan, and there is a lot to do individually with them and then with the general classes. Then strength and resilience, because I have seen this woman who have a very, very, very hard lives that come from nowhere, don't even have to eat some days, and they have families to provide for. And okay, taking into account more problems they have in Africa, but I have seen them with my eyes, and I have seen how much they are strong to overcome this, because they come every day to these places. They are happy, they are talkative, they all have a lot of games to help and to do something and to learn, and that's the most important thing, because you cannot help people that don't want your help. So for me, it has changed my life, since when now something happens to me that I will be crazy about in my normal life. Now I think about it and I'm like, okay, if these people can go every day with these lives and still want to learn and work and are very hardworking, why wouldn't that be when I have a very more common life here in Europe, because we have way more facilities, we have all the information we want, the schools, colleagues, like we have so much opportunities that we need to take care advantage of. And we can also help others to have them, because with our skills, we can help others. Then the importance of skills training, like I have mentioned before, with going there and giving them all things, you know, even if it's not as much, it's going to be more than they have access to. And they we give them confidence, we give them independence, we are equipping individuals, and we are contributing for them to create their own money and be independent, and the collaboration and community sports. Because the success of the woman sewing business was not solely dependent on an individual effort, but also on the support of their community. Witnessing the collaboration and the collective support among the women reinforced for me the significance of community building and the power of collective action, because if we all join together, we can actually create something way more bigger than you could do by yourself. Okay, and then if someone is interested in what I just talked about and would like to join, it's actually very easy, because you just need to go to the web, which is .com, well, is stepafrica.com, and you go there by Google, and then the first step will be to fill in your applications to register. Then the second one is just for you to wait until they send you your official application confirmation. And then the step 3 is that when you pay the fee, you will get access to your online volunteer area. When you have all of the information, you will know what exactly you need to do, what you need to bring, where you can go, and all of that. So this is all. Thank you very much for listening to me. That's it.
Thank you so much, Pilar, and thank you, Laura, for sharing the guidelines. Oh, I just heard something. All right. So yeah, I was saying that thank you so much, Pilar and Laura, for sharing the guidelines and impact of Next Textile Generation project. And thank you, Laura, for sharing your first-hand comments and explaining step by step how to participate in this volunteering program. Our next speaker today is Katia Pinto from Smart Farm Collaborative Laboratory. Katia Pinto is Executive Director of this association, which is a collaborative laboratory for digital innovation in agriculture. She has a PhD in molecular genetics, and previously she was director of a startup called AgTech, based in Sacramento, the United States, and focusing on modeling soil for increasing productivity and restoring soil health and fertility. Thank you, Katia, for taking the time for being with us today. We are ready to hear you.
Thank you and good morning, Esther. Thank you so much, and thank you for all the colleagues Finova that invite us. So for us, it's a great pleasure to be here. So I hope that we can explain a little bit what we are doing. So it's quite a little different. So we are going now for the agriculture sector, and between the agriculture, the digitalization of the agro sector. That is a hot topic from nowadays. So I hope that in the next, I see here 29 minutes, I can also present a little bit what we are doing. Also convince you to visit us. So all of you are very welcome to come to Portugal and visit the amazing things that we are doing. So I'll try to put my my presentation. So please let me know if you can see my screen.
We can see it.
Yeah, okay, so perfect. So as Esther explained it before, and thank you. So I'm the executive director from Smart Farm Collab, and we are based here in Portugal, nearby Lisbon. So just to introduce a little bit the network that we are involved. So the Smart Farm Collab is part of a Portuguese network that is called Collaborative Laboratories. So we are one up 35, and sorry because this number is not updated. I just taken in consideration last week that actually right now it's 42 or 41, sorry for the misunderstanding, collaborative laboratories. And so all this network, which is based on a Germany model, that is the Fraunhofer, was created here in Portugal in order also to give answers and to decrease what we call dead value between the academia and also the industry, because we know that a lot of solutions are being produced, but sometimes they are not successful into the industry because of this dead value. And so the collaborative laboratories have all these main goal, that is to transfer not only the scientific knowledge, but in our case, the technological knowledge between, if you can allow me to say these two different worlds, okay, the academia and the industry. So these collaborative laboratories, so the idea started some years ago by the Portuguese Ministry of the Science and Technology, the Foundation for the Science and Technology, all the Portuguese entities, and also ANI, that is the National Innovation Agency. And so with the main goal to create this network from north to south, including the islands. So there are different thematic areas that are from, for example, social services, health, climate, oceans, even the material, circular economy. And one of them is the agri-food. And so in the agri-food, Smart Farm Collab is based there. And between or into the agri-food sector, we are the only one that is the reference for the digitalization of the agriculture. So just to understand a little bit more, who are we? So we are, as I said before, located in Torres Vedras. So Torres Vedras, which is nearby Lisbon. We are a private non-profit organization. And in our basis, we are what we call a quadruple helix model of innovation. Why? Because as we can see after, we have different members, and these members are not only from academia, but they represent all the agro sector. And just let me tell you that into the agro sector, we are working in particular with the primary sector. So as we are not academia and we are in this transference of the scientific and technology knowledge, we have been developing different works, and our works targeting different TRLs higher, so from 5 to 8. And all the work that we have been performing is in the service for digitalization of the agriculture. So just for you to understand who are on the basis of the Smart Farm Collab. So we have different members, 17 in total. And like this, you can understand why we are a quadruple helix model, because we have for one part academia, research institutes, the companies, we have also politicians, also the politics, so here represented by the City Council, and we work with society. And so like this, we have all the model represented in this infrastructure. So just to tell you that the Torres Vedras municipality, so the city council, normally we joke with this, we say that is the father and the mother of SF Collab, because they also boost a lot the creation of this collaborative laboratory in this region. And I will explain you why this region and not another one in Portugal. So across the SMEs, we try to have different representatives from the agro sector, so from the manufacture, for example, production, technology, transport, certification. It's true that we don't have all the representatives right here, but also we have some rules when we have this label of collaborative laboratory. And so that's the reason why we just have, 17 members that signed the agreement, but doesn't mean that we don't have more partners. So we have different partners, but these ones are in the model, the governance model of Smart Farm Collab. So then we have different academia and research institutes. Some of them maybe you also know, or you have already worked with them. So after the universities, we have also the INIAP. INIAP is a public state laboratory from the Ministry of Agriculture. And also here, our headquarters are in the INIAP's facilities, in the Portos. And then we have also the Agro School and competence centers, or the technological centers as in ESCTEC, that you may also know for the robotics. They have a lot of expertise, but one in which we collaborate the most is in the terms of the robotics for the agriculture. So as I said before, why Torres Vedras and not another municipality or another place in Portugal? Indeed, so Torres Vedras is based in the western region of Portugal, and actually is one of the most important, not only is the national leader of the production of both wine, fruits, and vegetables, but also it's one of the most important regions that exports the most of the products. So that's the reason why we are based here, because it makes all the sense. And normally we say from SF Collab, from the Portuguese Western region to the world, because indeed here is one of the famous region, and you can see by the numbers that it's a small compared with other countries from Europe. So Portugal is very small, and if we see the Western regions is smallest. And so if we see by these numbers is really important. And so our mission is to boost even this digitalization. Why? Because in terms of the agriculture production in Portugal, we know that our agriculture is quite fragmented. So we have small properties. Also, the age of farmers are very high. And so we have a lot of work to do here. And so with SF Smart Farm Collab, we want to boost, and we have the mission of digitalization of the agriculture. And also in our philosophy is to develop solutions that can be used, inclusive solutions that can be used by all, and not fragment, and not to perform a more fragmented system, but to perform this system more inclusive and more attractive, in particular also for women, because this is really important because we know, and still the agriculture is sorry to say that, but it's a man world, and we need to boost also the empowerment of women in these areas. And I think that we are in the right way. So in terms of the expertise, so we are divided in different pillars. For sure, the digital innovation is our main focus. And from all of these 5 actions that we are performing, we can't dissociate one from another one, because all of them are in the serial processes. So all of these make a storyteller when we put it together. Because for example, we can't dissociate technologies from data, because both of them are together. And after to have this perfect combination, we can have the smart production ecosystem and the more sustainable production systems. So here in particular, I want to highlight that in smart technologies, first of all, we have been developing an assessment, not only from the needs and also from the gaps, and listen the sector, because sometimes the communication is really hard with the sector, but also is really hard between the communities, starting by the organizations. And so for that, we need to perform these diagnostics, firstly internally and also externally. And we need to perform also these diagnoses in terms of the needs and the gaps assessment of the sector. As I said before, we have been developing inclusive technology, because we want that all the technology, in particular that one that we are being operated in terms of the sensoring technology, can be used by all. And to combine this, so technology, we need to combine also with the knowledge, because after we can have amazing technology in our fields, but if we don't have the support, the technical support needed, probably we'll not use it correctly. So all of this, so inclusive solutions and assertive technology is our, main goal of a Smart Farm Collab, and also the differentiation that we have in terms of our activity. So then combined with data, in particular to perform analysis that can give the decision-making process easier, and here through recommendation also and alerts, but again, just to give the inputs needed that the farmer in fact needed, and not difficult information, because in the end, if we look into the agro sector, the main goal is to produce. And so sometimes we can't lose time to understand the data. We need real data in the real moment and easy data to perform our actions. So again, our operation model is based on to guarantee the sustainable intensification of agriculture, and to do that we need to combine with technology. So that's the reason why we can't associate all of these three pillars, never. And because we need to survive, we need also to develop business services, in particular, not only for our ecosystem, so for bringing value to the members that we have, but also to bringing value to the region that we are operating and the agro sector, so this ecosystem, and how by identifying not only the existing services from the region, from the ecosystem, but also allowing and putting more attractive potential new services. And again, reinforce that all this is possible if we can get this knowledge transfer and also development of basic skills for the use of this innovative system. And so the capacity building and training is really important, because otherwise we can have technology from one side and not using from the other. So we need to combine all the time this information. So that's the reason why we have different, not only the members from the education, from the universities, but also the partnerships in particular for business, because also this is important, because in the end we also to create business in a sustainable way. So after this introduction, which are the main activities or key technologies that we have in development? So far we have like more or less 3 years and something in activity. So we are a little baby, let's say, Smart Farm Collab, but already with some of not only national projects, but also international, and with different entities, in particular the members, but also others. And so we have been developing some technologies and some approaches that we saw and we identified that was needed from the agro sector. So according to the gaps that we have identified. So then I will explain you some about these SOFIs that were developed in particular by also started by the development by 2 colleagues. So two of our collaborators, and now we have one team working on that, but also all the data visualization platform in a simple way. Like, for example, here in case in the video, the fruit estimating counting, because actually something that we can predict, for example, the production. We are working also in the ecological footprint, in particular the carbon footprint in vineyards. And then we have actually by the end of this week, we'll have the presentation of the final project from Smart Farm 4.0. That is a national project in which we have been developing not only some systems to incorporate data into a platform, so from sensors, but also the robot to pick different vegetables, because one of the problems is the manpower, in particular in this region. So we have a lot of greenhouses, but the manpower to collect and also to take care of these greenhouses is quite not so huge. And so one of the systems that was developing based on the needs from the region was to create or to develop, these robots to check the maturity, the ripening of the vegetables, and also to pick automatically these vegetables. So in terms of our customers, for sure, are the farming systems, so the farmers or companies, including not only the production, but also technology companies or other operating in the industry, associations in competence centers, and for sure R&D, because we have also collaborating not only projects, but also developing or adapting digital solutions for their needs. So as I said before, this system that we call it SOFIS, that is Smart Orchard Fertirrigation System, is based on a proximal sensoring, was developed by a researcher, so Jusilene Siqueira, that bring the idea to Smart Farm Collab, and then here starting with another colleague, and now, as I can say that we have one not big team, but one very unique team and rockstar team working on this. So this is our, I would say, one of the babies from Smart Farm Collab. Why? Because it's based on, as I said before, on this proximal sensing. Is a low-cost and modular system. That means that we can adapt across the time according to the needs of the farmer more sensors. And because the solution is customized according to the needs that is identified, that means that, for example, if 1 year we see that we need this information, if in another year we can adapt for another kind of information that we can collect. So that's the reason why it's not a blocked solution, it's a customized, and we can adapt it across the time. So in terms of the outputs, as I said, depending on the agriculture needs, for example, we can operate if the final end is to work on the soil quality, for example, the fertilization control, the climate control in greenhouses, disease alerts, and so on, or create, for example, different phytopathogens models. So one SOFIS is always different from another one, so there's no two SOFIS equal to each other, because it's always depending on the agriculture needs that are identified. So this is our operation model. So if you can read this QR code and can give you automatically the kind of data that we are, for example, in this case, the data. Climate data that we can operate. So this is from the station that we have close by Smart Farm Collab in the earth carters. And actually we have, so as we work with low-cost solutions, that does mean that firstly we have performed a high accurate validation of these low-cost sensors with the commercial sensors. And so this is sometimes that we don't see the time that we spend, it's not spending, it's the time needed to validate these solutions. But this is the end. I mean, the main goal is in the end that we can get equal parameters, so fiable parameters that we can trust, and also can be inclusive for other farming approaches. So in terms of, pipeline that we have, so far we are working, as I said before, with proximal sensing. In the next time, we also incorporate the remote sensing, but basically we have a data processing and interactive platform that is also a low-cost platform. And so that's the reason why it's not so beautiful as the commercial ones, because this is not our main goal. So our main goal is that solutions can be easily taken by the farmers for all of them, and with useful information. So information that makes sense for the daily basis management. So far we don't have this step that is, and sorry to be in Portuguese, is the automation step. That it means, so now we are communicated with this platform. So from the farm to the platform, and then the platform to the farmer to take the action. Our next step it's to communicate automatically with the machine, so machine to machine, and also this support decision can be performed automatically. So this is the future. So we have been, and I saw, and Finova is a partner also from this project, that is the HIBA Interreg. And so we also have been collaborating, because one way that is important is to show the powerful of the technology by using, for example, demo labs or pilots. And so we have been starting with INIAV and in this project, so in the IVA, in order to have different demo labs from the fruits, for example, vines and olives, in order to not only to show the powerful of this low-cost technology, but also to allow the knowledge exchange. And so based on this, we have approved, so a few months ago, a national project that is called DigiFarm12, that aims not only the sustainability, but also the democratization of this agriculture 4.0. And how? So we're starting now to install different pilots, so 17 pilots in total from north to south in Portugal, across 7 different crops, so avocado, citrus, red fruits, kiwi, olives, and vines. And for 2 things. So one is to show the powerful of this low-cost technology, so for monitoring the crops, and use also this information to give the support and the capacity building, not only for farmers, but in particular for different associations. So for the technical support that then give support to the farmers. Why? Because these associations and these entities, we know that farmers trust them. And so first we need to train these people in order to guarantee that the information of digitalization of the agriculture 4.0 and the precision tools are in the using and can be used in the properly way. So this project has in total 20 members. And I can tell you that from 15 out of 20 are farmers. I mean, are agro farmers production. So the project started a few months ago, and I will be very happy. Sometimes we put a lot of information in our also LinkedIn. So I'm very happy if you can be interested also to follow, because this is something that also we need we are adopting the way that we give also this training to be in a proper way. So we are also learning from the farmers, from the technical support, to give this capacity building in a proper and more adapted according to the needs that they identify in the farming system. So as I said, we can get technology, we can get different digital tools, but something that is really important is training and workshop. And so this is the main goal also of the Smart Farm Collab, because like this, giving this specialized technical support, it's the only way, or one of the most important ways, not only to transfer the knowledge and also technology, but also to have a work on the democracy and literacy of the agriculture 4.0. So we have been developing different activities, for example, workshops, trainings, also open days. And here open days not only for the general society, but also for the farmers, for students. We work a lot with the agro-professional schools. We receive a lot of the different students that spend here some months, and events. And I can tell you that, for example, in the end of this week, I mean, all years we perform this event, that is the the Forum Agriculture 4.0, in which we try to have and to combine different perspectives, normally from national entities, and can be companies, can be farmer productions, can be, for example, universities, projects, and so on, and the part of policy uptake, in order to discuss this digital transition in the Portuguese agro sector. So these are some of the examples, because as I said before, act in the sector, we need to know this sector and the needs of this sector. And so these sections, actually, we call espaços de diálogo, or it's a little bit of conversation sessions that we have. We perform this session according to the also IBA project. And here in Portugal, we perform 3 sections, for one from the fruticulture, another for the horticulture, and another one for the viticulture, with the main goal to put the sector discussing with each other. I mean, by putting not only farmers, the policy uptake, but also, for example, the companies, the technological companies. And this was very important because for the first time, at least for us, we saw people communicating. And sometimes it's really difficult because sometimes in the events, we are always listening and not communicate. And so for this, I think that we won here, not a prize award, but we won something that was really important, because we know that agro sector sometimes is quite not in their world, but difficult to communicate. And so like here, it was something important, because we get different ideas, not only for projects, but also different ideas to incorporate in the policies that we have, not only in Portugal, but I hope that then can go to the European Commission too. So also the training in the field, and so this is from the project, as I said, I presented before, DG Farm to All. It's really important. So here is to show the potential of technology, to understand, for example, in this case, it was for olives, the phenology, how we can connect, for example, the phenology of the plant, the needs of the plant, and how technology can help, for example, to control the fertigation system, to improve the productivity. And sometimes it's important, and not only sometimes, it's important actually to have these actions in order to see and then to create and to put in practices in our fields and in our daily basis. So this is an example of some of the work that we have been implemented. So here is part of our team that are installing some of the technology sensors that we have in this case, in some of our clients. And for sure, we have to also to be in the loop of the R&D and to improve and to have new innovation systems. We also work on the projects by 2 ways. So for one way in the consortium promotion, that can be both at national and international projects, and also on the projects countries services. These are some of them that we have already approved, national ones, international ones, or the Digital Innovation Hub, in which we are from the Executive Commission too. And so on. And just to finish, I can see if I still have so many time, maybe I just use it all my time, but just before to finish, tell that all is possible because the entities are teams, are people, and so the organization of the peoples is critical. And when we see all these powerful teams working together in alignment team, not only women, but also men, so in an equilibrated system, because this is what is important, is an equilibrated system that can be here, like for example, with almost 40 degrees, or in the office with a beautiful cakes, that's reason why we are all slim. And so this is the important in the end. So it's to perform this work also, but perform it in in an organized team, in a motivated team. And so that's the reason why sometimes we know that the entities are successful, because the beginning of the success starting in the entities with the people that work in there. And so with this, I finished my presentation, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Katia, for sharing with us this interesting collab concept you guys are building. This is just a great example of putting together network, technology, and agri-food solutions, and also a clear example of how a strategy members fusion from national, in this case in Portugal, and international level with a common mission can create real and measurable impact, also in promoting inclusion and smart technologies. Very interesting, especially this innovative greenhouses concept and your digital tools boosting automation of processes, which is actually one of the goals of the European Union. It has been such a pleasure to have you today, Katia.
Thank you so much, Esther. Thank you.
Our next panelist is Elena Kiropoulos from the European Regional Framework from Cooperation.
Thank you very
institution.
much. Kalimera. Hello, thank you. You said it very nice. I like the introduction. So Kalimera from Greece, and I would like to speak about my involvement with the green sustainability programs. Actually, I'm a journalist. I belong to the European Association of Journalists and BCI Media Canada. But like a communication project manager in the following programs that you're going to see, I have learned a lot about all these beauty that we call green. And I think it's very important to get more familiar with the new philosophy to become green. So what you're going to see is actually that we face problems in our daily life, but also like entrepreneurs. And I think the most important thing is how a European program can bring impact to the life and make changes happen. What we have to do is only to learn this new education, because it is a new terminology system, is a new philosophy, and to make it to be our mentality. I don't want to say much blah blah. I want you to see things and like this, to understand the importance of the interaction and of the network, of the eco network, as we have called it. So of course, climate change is not only a challenge, it's a reality that we live. For example, now we're in Greece, it is middle of June, and we have the feeling that it is, let's say, beginning of September or whatever. I would like to present you three basic European programs. The one is Greenland and is related to education about unemployed people that they want to learn some green skills in aim to take a workplace in the market. CB Carbon Free is referred to enterprises that they want to get in this new philosophy of this holistic approach, with target to understand that this is the new logic that the European Commission has set up. And if they want, for example, if they're going to be exporters, they have to be certified in order, let's say, the consumer to take also a very safe product. It's about our lives. It's not only theory, it is basic values that are related to our life. And Cyclicon empowers actually all the bioeconomy and circular chart of values in the Mediterranean area as well. What we have done, we have invited all the stakeholders in a green exhibition that took place in the International Fair of Thessaloniki. And we invited them to, in one place, to become part of several activities that have taken place there. I don't know if I can play it now. I will send it later. This is what happened in Egypt. So first the stakeholders went to Egypt. They know the customs, they know actually the hospitality, and then we invite them in Greece. Moment. As considered Greenland, one of the biggest program that European Commission gave 3.5 million about it. As you're going to see, is an e-learning project platform involving 2,900 NEETs and women. It is about an entrepreneurial green network, 7 long-term action plans, 210 national cross-border traineeships in SMEs operating in the green and blue economy sectors. We had 18 job shadowing for case studying in several institutions, 150 part-time, 150 full-time contracts, 20 social employment initiatives by public institutions and civil society organizations. So it was an education program also for the SMEs. We had the opportunity to visit the 4 pioneer enterprises that are following the program. That means they want to have the zero management model, zero CO2 footprint, and of course an holistic approach about the equipment, about the education, how they're going to educate their staff in the new technology and how to use it. Also the digital green innovation tools. We had several interviews with real enterprises, and we, let's say, we gave them the floor and we took the information from them, what is being needed to be done in the society in order to have an harmony and a more efficient collaboration together. So we went to bio companies, we went to international companies, we went to see farmers and to discover and to explore their needs. We went to social and cultural associations in Greece and also in other countries as well. And like this, like I told you, we got the very important information. We wanted also in this European program to make the social inclusion more productive. So we thought that some artists, some painters, they could participate in an application we have established about the first lexicon, the first 100 words of green and circular economy. So like this, the young children, they have the opportunity to download a file with the paint of a local artist, and they can discover some simple words that are related to the circular economy, why we have to take care of consuming paper. What means that for the forest? What means, let's say, to not wash ourselves so often because in some other countries they don't have the water and stuff like this. Of course, everything would be certified by ISO if they would like to use markers for their paintings. And the purpose after that, because it was a process ongoing process, we thought that the curators of the 7 countries, they could make living labs to teach the new eco-material that the artists and the children they can use. And in a process of playing and learning, after that, we thought to make an eco art exhibition, and it's going to travel from country to country. So this is some of our artists that they give voluntary their paintings, and it was really very pleasant, the whole process. We're going to send you the link after if you like to download the application and also to share your opinion. We have participated in exhibitions, in food exhibitions, to see about these 4 companies. What is the impact? What, let's say, the young entrepreneurs are thinking about it, because its innovation, its new development has, of course, some cost, but you have to see what is the benefit of it. So we had several opinions. Some people, they were afraid. Some people, they were very excited about the new technology. They thought if they're going to invest, they could have, let's say, profit in their enterprise. But it's not only about an economy. It's about our sustainability in our society. This is the most important thing. We had some interviews of the biggest entrepreneurs that have this holistic approach in Greece, and they told us what I have also told you before, that the most important thing is to change the rules in our life, to change the perspective. Here is Mr. Sven van Asperen, belongs to Eurimac SA. Eurimac is the biggest supplier in whole Balkan. It also supplies Japan in many spaghetti, let's say, products, industrial products. I don't know if you can hear a little bit, if our connection.
No, we cannot hear. We cannot hear anything, unfortunately. If there's any link available, I'll be happy to share it on the chat.
Oh, it's okay, it's enough. I'll go a little bit forward. I don't know if you could hear the video, but I'm trying hard a little bit to fix some things. Okay.
Unfortunately, we cannot hear.
So because we live in a social media brain, I think we have to change also the perspective. We have to think in an eco-social media brain. So we have to use the tool to bring more green awareness to the people. Like this, we had we thought to combine these 4 European programs, and especially the human capital, how we can become stronger together, how we can, let's say, have the perspective of the scientist, have the perspective of the entrepreneur, have the perspective of the instructor, and like this, to have a better understanding of the whole topic. What is the green education, the green values, the SMEs, the green holistic approach, the green growth, the sustainability, the green transition, and the green digitalization. Of course, the European community is offering green financial tools that we have to understand, first of all. And because of this, we came to conclusion that this terminology has to change. If you're going to say somebody to Greece, the values of green circular economy, is not going to understand you. So European community has to understand, maybe to make a guide for the terminology, because the farmer, the entrepreneur, is high educated. So maybe the simplicity is the first rule in marketing. Make it simple to understand it and to have more efficacy. So, and despite that, we have also projects, and this is food, art, movement, and energy. in the frame of Interreg Greece-Italy. That means that we gave the opportunity through the program that the citizens, they're going to propose some suggestions about the place that are living. And it was a huge success because some people, they have proposed, for example, an old building to be renovated and to become the new culture hub. So that brought really life back to community. And we show that we had also this precious experience. Greek entrepreneurs, they went to Italy and they discover the methodology and the best practices about ceramic from Italians. Italian entrepreneurs came to Greece, like also Italian artists, and they saw the Greek way of making wine. So, and the most precious thing is activity. Before, let's say, COVID came in our life, everything was different. So the way of we used to have our communication really changed. So after post-COVID period, we show also the necessity that people, they want to communicate, to exchange things. And that really brought us together. And now the most of them are friends. And we see that a European program is not only, it doesn't has only limits and deadlines, has also the human factor that we many times we forget. We establish relationships, we establish friendship, we establish collaborations. And this is, let's say, the most precious thing. And I really believe what Hilton said at once when they have asked him, what is the most precious, let's say, characteristic of your success? And he said three things: location, location, location. So like a communication manager, I will say, what is the most important thing is to link the people. It doesn't matter if somebody is going to come from your work background. It doesn't matter if somebody is going to come from your friendship background. If they are related to a European program in anyhow, it is very important to bring them in contact and to make things happen. An example, this is a very good friend of mine, Mr. Georgios Staikos. He has established to build the first second storage 3D printed house in Europe. So now is able to build the first building, cross border, the Red Cross building, with recyclable plastic bottles and marble dust and a nano paste. And I think it's very important to bring all the people, all the contacts that we have in our data contact bank, and make let's say, to make them in a transformative way to become elements in the way that we were building the networks and the people together. And like the first rule in communication is to deliver the message, and this is what we want to do tonight, the sender to give to the receiver the message. The most important thing is the feedback, what we're going to take to build on that. So to be connected, actually, okay? And like this, we invited the stakeholders from Egypt and from Palestine to Greece. We had a very successful 3 days networking, B2Bs, with the Chamber of Commerce in Balkan region, with the Italian Chamber of Commerce, with the Hellenic Indian Chamber of Commerce. So that means this network is going to strike bridges for new collaborations. Despite that, we had also the culture exchange effect, and it's very beautiful when you see somebody to eat a traditional sweet in your country and to honor and say, wow, it is similar to this taste or to this taste. So we had interviews again, and we show another perspective about the Arabian countries and how they approach the green sustainability, because in their countries they have a lot of sun, so they put more attention to soil systems. We learned very innovative model of business and how you are going to establish a networking. Of course, we had also the first signature of the first circular economy institution, EGTC, and it was really a very blessed moment, because we see that society strives bridges to this destination. We have to change our mindset and to become green, really. So future is green. Let's put life on. And like a national poet of us said, they tried to bury us. They didn't know that we were seeds. This is a quote from Dinos Christianopoulos. Thank you very much for your time. And let's stop my share. Great.
Thank you, Elena. It has been very interesting finding out the operations of the Greece hub of ERFC. Also, thank you for highlighting the importance of interaction and networking.
Thank you.
Our next panelist today is Isaia Saudisu. If you could just remind us how to pronounce it, we will really appreciate it. He's president. Hello, Isaia.
Hello, Isaia Saudisu.
Thank you so much, Isaia. So she's president of the Association of European Journalists, and he's also working and serving as a president in the AEG Greek section. We are happy to hear you, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, thank you. Can I share a PowerPoint with you? May I do this? Just a moment. Because I want to tell you some things about our association. This is okay.
Do you see it now?
Okay. So I'm very happy that I'm here with you today, because I think it's very important, these meetings, these webinars and discussion. It's subjects that is very interesting, not only for the journalists, but for the whole people, the whole world, especially environmental issues. I want to say some things about our association of European journalists. We had our 60th anniversary last year in October here in Greece. We celebrate this occasion. We also have our meeting. Every year we organize a Congress and a General Assembly, and we have the opportunity, more than 80 journalists from all over the Europe, and not only the Europe, to come together and exchange our views about not only the future of media, but the journalism, etc. Across Europe, the AJ brings together individual journalists through the membership of the national sections. The Association of European Journalists was set up in 1962, some years after the European Economic Community at that time created. And 6 journalists from these countries was founded the association, convinced by the need for European integration in a democratic way, who believed in the potential of journalism to promote European harmony. For that reason, they were determined to defend the freedom of information and freedom of press in Europe. Most activities of the Association of European Journalists are arranged by the section at national level. However, One of the aims of the International Association is to create links between individual journalists to exchange contacts, information, and ideas. The Association of European Journalists partners with the European Journalism Center, an independent institution for further training of journalists, and other organizations all over the world who fight about the freedom of press. I have the honor to re-elected as president for second term in October 22 in Greece, in Eritrea, in our annual general secretary. Our international board is me as a president, Edward Steen from Austria as general secretary. The three vice presidents are Tibor Macak from Slovakia, Javier Ribas from Spain, Giuseppe Giacobini from Italy, and Pat Humphreys, who is from Finland, but he's in the UK section, is a treasurer of the association. So we are the elected officers of the organization for 2 years term. Journalism requires verification, ethical responsibility, integrity. We have to raise journalists to report, explain, contextualize, and debunk in order to inform our societies with truthful information and contribute to democratic debate. We organize often seminars and webinars. During the pandemic, we used to say webinars like ours today. We organize once a year Daphne Caruana Galizia case in her memory. We talk about her activities and the media freedom. We have also victims here in Greece reporting about journalism. How can I say it? They report matters of interest, of public interest. So they shoot them and kill them. And we have 2 killings in the last increase in the last 10 years. And we have also, as a president, the national president, the opportunity to meet the president of the European Parliament, also the president of the European Commission, and other staff. We organize once a year a seminar in Brussels about media freedom. The last one was in June 22 about the role of media for the war in Ukraine. And our speakers wasn't only journalists, but also members of the European Parliament and ambassadors also. Our seminars is always in as links in the European Parliament Multimedia Center, so everyone can make a search and find us there. I also, as international president, met all of the ministers here in Greece. This one is with Mr. Nikos Dendrias, who was Foreign Affairs Minister. Now, because on Saturday we had elections, we have a new government, and Mr. Dendrias will be the Minister of Defense here in Greece. Here is with Mr. Chounis, US Ambassador of the Hellenic Republic. And often we sign memorandum of agreement with a lot of organizations who promote freedom and equality. One of them is the Association of Greco-Libyans and her president, Mrs. Voula-Zikouri. So in our Congress, we have the pleasure to have representatives from 90 countries, 180 live attendees, 15 keynote speakers, panelists, and the most important thing is the networking between all of them. And a lot of media from all over the Europe and not Europe were presented there. Some images from there. We also, when we organize a seminar, we try to give them, the journalists, the hosted journalists, the opportunity to have an idea about the region there. We were in the region of Central Greece, and we visit some areas that they have historical meaning for us, like the Holocaust of Distomon. Also, we invited a Vietnamese journalist, Ko Ali, who banked from Vietnam, and he lives in Germany, and he's fighting for press freedom and human rights. And after his visit in Greece, he has popularized the activity of AJ in many media in Vietnam and Germany, and also to the journalists all over the world. This one is Liu King and Linda Gasparello, two well-known journalists in Washington, D.C. So when we want to communicate something, we have journalists in all over the world. We can send them what we want to communicate, and they publish it in their media. Our audience is not only journalists, but also the authorities and the public from the region. We also talk about the regional media, who believe that it's very important for the local community to have strong media there, because they prefer to have the news, to read the news or to see the TV in the local TV. And also the activities of every section that we have more than 20 sections in different European countries, and every section is independent and organizes themselves their activities that they want to speak about. We also have a new representative for media freedom, who is Kyriakos Keridis from Cyprus, and he organizes often webinars that we all can be part in every place in the world we are. So it's very important for us to have a representative, because he took part in every activity in European and international level. So as for today, let's go to our main speech. I want to talk about how the media promote these issues. I mean, issues environmental, and how the audience, the people is involved. Let's say that we, the journalists, our role is very important. We know that climate change in recent years the climate change has made us concerned about the environment. The fact is that humanity is facing an uncontrollable environmental crisis. The something is that people do not realize what has happened, and as a result, they are apathetic. What needs to be cultivated is their environmental awareness. Only then we will Only then will they become active and contribute together to the protection of the environment. The damage at all levels is great and irreparable. The world is changing and we are changing with it. It is high time to ask ourselves what we are doing to protect the environment and how we can become better citizens. The role of the media is very important. We all know how influential they are in society in shaping social consequences is enormous. Communicating environmental issues through all forms of media, especially digital media, is essential and of prime importance. We all know that citizens are informed by the print and electronic media. Digital media, and in particular social networks, play a leading role. The publication and continuous reporting on environmental issues helps to make the public aware that there is a problem and that we all need to take action before it is too late. The dissemination of information on environmental issues is direct and effective as it reaches a particularly large audience who choose to be informed by the media. We, as journalists, therefore, have a great responsibility towards the public. We must keep ourselves constantly informed and educated on environmental issues in order to present them as best we can in a simple and understandable way so that the public can understand what we write. Our contribution will also be important if our text contains proposals for solving the problem. So, in order to be useful, it is good to communicate to the citizens the ways in which they can become better in the face of this great environmental disaster. Through special documentaries and comprehensive information, photo exhibitions, films, discussion, and proposed actions will encourage people to become active citizens. The aim of all of us is to learn more about the protection of our planet and to pass it on our fellow human beings. What about women? Women are usually more aware of such issues. And because they also have the responsibility to raise and educate their children to become responsible citizens, they should first educate themselves. How is this to be done? Through speeches, seminars, workshops, and the promotion of good practices. They could also cooperate with each other locally and beyond. We, as the Association of European Journalists, have set as one of our priorities the promotion of communication of environmental issues. Through reports, articles, interviews, and the presentation of good practices, we must inform citizens every day about the need to protect our great home, our planet. One way to raise awareness is to inform citizens about the change in our attitude towards the environment, to become more responsible and ecologically conscious. We established special pages dedicated to the environment and its protection, to continuously write reports informing people about the effects of climate change. We all have an obligation to become active citizens and take the future into our own hands. We can achieve this if we work together at national and global level. We are here to help in the effort for the environment, and our role as women who, as entrepreneurs, can find the right programs to implement our plans. Here today is the beginning of something big. The Union of the Association of European Journalists will contribute with all its strength and our large network to the dissemination of information. Use of the media to raise awareness of environmental issues is very important. According to the Eurobarometer survey on citizens' attitude, in 28 countries of the European Union, Europeans choose television as a medium for information on environmental issues, although its use has declined significantly in recent years. This is followed by social networks and the internet, with a sharp increase compared to 2011. The films and documentaries on TV, newspapers, and the radio follows. Finally, relatively few people cite as their main course family, friends, or relatives as the main source of environmental information. Magazines and books or scientific publication. At European level, we see that more and more the media are giving space to these issues. The Association of European Journalists makes sure that it organizes seminars on the subjects that journalists should be trained in. One of these is environment. We bring in experts who can explain us how we can write better about these issues so that they can be understood by the ordinary citizen. Because if we don't understand what we write, we can't give it to the people. Journalists in Europe are writing and presenting these issues in a way that was not possible before. And we see that every day, more space is being given to the media with interviews with scientists and presentations of how to make our lives better. This is from me. I think that also it's very important to educate better the young people, because young people is the future. And we believe that if there is a special lesson in the schools about environment and, the children is the best teachers for their parents and grandparents also, because they bring the information to the house and share it with the old ones. It's very important to have a cooperation with the schools, and we as a journalist promote these issues as more as we can.
That's totally right. Thank you so much, Isaiah, for presenting us the Association of European Journalists in your 60th anniversary, and for highlighting the importance of the freedom of speech and media speech as part of the democracy values of the European Union, as well as the promotion of the proper training and education. Before you leave us, Isaiah, I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. How many women are part of the Association of European Journalists, approximately, of course?
It's one of the associations that we have a lot of women, because sometimes we count the experts and we see that more men are there. We are 60 to 40. 40 is women, are women. So I think that we are in a good road in this. And we also have young journalists. We try to bring in our association young journalists, because we believe that if you educate young journalists in every issue, we will have better journalism for the people. So it's very important for us to bring experts often in webinars or in seminars, and educate the young journalists in special issues, not only environmental, health issues, education, sports, everything. And because media, you know, that happen all over the world, is not independent, it's very difficult for us to have a free speech in our media. A lot of journalists find a way in a site that they create by themselves. So we can find in a website a lot of informations about what we want to know more about. This is our contribution, our personal sites also, because in the big media, you have a limit time or space to for the reportage, to report a special issue.
And which are the main traits of skills you value the most to accept new journalists on board?
We want, as Association of European Journalists, we want journalists, we have journalists that they believe in the European integration and European idea. And because our statute is like the Council of Europe, the name European in our title is not geographical, it's about the idea. I mean, we can have a section in a country outside Europe, if it's member in the Council of Europe. So if the journalists believe in European integration, the European cooperation, and the European idea, they can become members of our association. And every section that we have in more than 20 countries is independent. It's connected with the international AJ, but it's independent. We are in the, we want to feel that they are free. They report to us about their activities, but all it's based in media freedom and equality and what European Union wants from the people. And what can we do for the Europe? You know, we keep asking, we always ask what Europe can do for us, but we have to ask ourselves what we can do for Europe.
Thank you so much for your great comments. I will also ask myself, because you mentioned about the diplomatic parties. I wonder which is the role of diplomatic parties in the association. Could you perhaps expand on how do they participate in the AIJ initiatives?
Well, we have a very good relations with diplomats, because we believe that they open us a door to their countries. So when we want to have a meeting or to find other journalists or some expertise from their countries, they are very helpful to us. So also with the ministries in our countries, we have to meet them and present our association, what we do and what we can do about the freedom of the press. And we need sometimes their help to organize something. I mean, we are a self-funding organization, so we don't have money, you know, to organize events. So if we need help, we are going to some businessman or to the ministries, but without any obligation. I mean, we don't want to to have expertise, and we want to be independent. So if we need something, we ask for something. We don't want them to ask us to do things for them. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah,
We
this
try
is
to be independent. And we don't ask for money. We ask to pay for a dinner or for a place that we want to organize something, because we believe in diaphania.
Yeah, this is for sure a clear example about key partnerships and strategic cooperation.
Yeah.
It's always beneficial to achieve the common goals, but at the same time, we understand that the Association of European Journalists are protecting as much as possible the freedom of speech, the freedom of media, and this is really valuable for our conversation today.
And we believe in transparency, you know.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Isaias, for intervening today. It has been very useful, very interesting, and we appreciate your presence.
And we will help in everything you want to communicate. We are at your disposal.
Thank you so much. We take notes.
Thank you.
Our next and last guest today is Angel Caro Castrillo. We are honored to honor his presence today. He is Senior Advisor for FIPRA Network and specializes in international relations, food systems, and biodiversity. He has kindly accepted to conclude with today's panel at an adding value with his comments. And Angel, we're ready to hear you, and many thanks for your presence today.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a bit last minute decision between you and us. And therefore, I would like also to apologize for not having been able to follow your seminar in full. And therefore, I may, in my intervention, repeat some of the things that you have already discussed. So don't hesitate as a chair to interrupt me and guide me in the right way. I'm pretty flexible and I will not get offended as such. So we discuss, in a sense, making a general discussion at the end on the issue of food security and food sustainability, which I think is an overall arching subject, and a subject which is very present today in our minds for recent and obvious reason as big as the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine has generated a huge amount of direct pain on Ukrainian people. That is well reported, and journalists are doing a huge job to cover what is happening in Ukraine. But the war in Ukraine has also generated side effects on the global economy and has affected food security in many African countries, for example, or North African countries. Ukraine being a big agriculture producer, this has destabilized the market, price increases and so on. Therefore, the war puts a spotlight on an issue which is in fact very urgent, but which exists since a long time. And we have now the debate of should we produce more food and how do we produce food. So my presentation would be focusing on this issue of food security versus food sustainability. Can we have both? Or is we choose one or the other? Also, today we have a debate in the European Parliament on a proposal to protect and improve biodiversity in the world. So that are the big elements that we have. But food security is sadly a long-standing issue. Food security is defined since 2000 or 1996. Food security is defined as all people at all time having physical and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food that meets their dietary need and food preference for an active and healthy life. That is the objective of achieving food security. And all the participants to this seminar know very well that this objective is not reached. Is why one of the most important Sustainable Development Goal, Sustainable Development Goal 2, the first one is to reduce poverty. The second is to finish with hunger in the world. That means that we have a big issue unresolved of giving access to food at all times and all people. So we have, for the time being, a very peculiar situation where we produce enough food globally in the world, but at the same time, we have 850 million people not having enough food on a regular basis. On top of it, by 2050, it is expected that the world population will reach 10 billion, and therefore we need also to produce more food to feed the people and their needs. But at the same time, we have food production which is threatened by climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And therefore, business as usual is not longer possible. We cannot continue producing food as we did in the past. And we need to bring innovation, we need to bring sustainability. And therefore, as you know, in Europe, we have been very ambitious with the Green Deal, with the farm to fork, and we want to produce in a more sustainable way. Because of the war in Ukraine, because of the fact that food prices have increased very much, and we are all consumers and we all do shopping, we know that food is more and more expensive. And so while we have enough food in Europe, which is not the case everywhere, even in Europe, you have people not having enough access to food or not being able to pay for the food. So the question of food affordability is also very, very important. And we see that in almost all countries, the use of food banks has increased very much in the past. I just want to say also a few words on the role of women. The previous speaker has mentioned the importance of women in terms of education, but women are also very important in terms of farming. In Europe, farming is dominated by men. It's more a man job than a woman job, while that is, however, changing in Europe. In other countries, in poorer countries, in regions like Africa, women are the main actor in producing food, and that is also very important to recognize this role of the women in agriculture. So important to see that women have a sort of instinct to feed their children the best way possible. And for example, in Japan, after the Second World War, and because women were worried about the impact of the atomic bomb, they produce and promote a lot of organic farming to be sure that they feed their children properly. So what we have now is that agriculture is at the same time a threat to sustainability, because agriculture is a producing of green gas. Is agriculture also a cause for deforestation in certain regions? And on the other hand, agriculture is part of the solution, because agriculture can fix carbon, for example, and therefore we need to help farmers to adapt to this situation. And is what we think is necessary is to promote what is called sustainable intensification. Not all areas of the world are suitable for agriculture production or for all types of production. And when an area is good for agriculture production, you need to produce more without going beyond the limit of what the world can allow on a sustainable way. That means also that trade is very important, because, for example, wheat production cannot take place everywhere. Rice production the same. You have geographical constraints. But if you look at what the world eats, globally, 80% of the calories consumed in the world are coming from 4 crops: potatoes, maize, wheat, and rice. So as these products are not produced everywhere, it is important to generate trade and allow trade to move from one place to the other one, because in addition to the geographical constraints, you have also the fact that agriculture is weather dependent, and therefore you can have a drought in a region or floods, and you need to import food. That being said, and I think that is an important point also to recall, is in my view as an economist, it is important that each society produce a certain degree of their own food. You cannot be totally dependent on others to feed your people. And that has been very clearly exposed with, as I was saying at the beginning of my intervention, through the war in Ukraine. Looking at African countries that I mentioned before, they are consuming more and more bread and wheat-related products, but they don't produce them. You have a country like Egypt, where bread is subsidized, is part of the main food intake, but they don't produce, they buy. And therefore, this is not a healthy situation. A rich country can pay more. We can pay more for our food, but others can not. So it is very important that we look at producing more where we are, producing in a sustainable way, and this production has to combine innovation. Innovation means producing more with less, having better seeds, digital farming, which I think is also part of the discussions that you have, training better farmers. But innovation has to be combined with tradition, because we have been producing food for centuries, for more than centuries, and we need to respect the good practice which exists, and combining innovation with tradition and having solutions which are targeted to the local conditions where you live is very important. And for that, it is also important as consumers that we realize what is the real cost of food. Food costs a lot to produce, but farmers only get a relatively small share of the total cost that we pay as consumers. So it's why also as consumers, we need to support farmers, we need to support certain productions if we want to buy organic, but at the same time, not all consumers can afford price of more sophisticated product. So we need to have the balance between affordability, sustainability, and personal preferences. One thing which is also important in this global picture is that while we have 850 million people having not enough food, we have about 1 billion people being overweight, eating too much and eating not in the most healthy way. And that is reflected in increase of diabetes, heart diseases, and so on. So part of the long-term solution to be able to produce more for feeding a bigger population has also to pass through certain changes in our consumer habits. And part of these changes is reducing animal proteins and eating more fruit, vegetables, and vegetable proteins. And that would be helping to balance the needs and the constraints. But of course, there is no political tool to influence the food choices and food habits of the population. This is where, again, exchanges like this webinar or the role that journalists can play in informing us are important. And I will stop there. If you allow me, happy to take questions.
Thank you, Angel, for helping us understanding the importance to find innovative solutions for food security and fight poverty, sharing somehow the main mission of the World Food Programme of the United Nations, right? We can highlight the role of the agri-food sector as key, as you could mention, and also the role of women, especially in regions of Africa, in which agriculture are basically led by them, mostly of the times. The importance also of the green gas and mitigating deforestation, as well as improving transition to organic. So all these processes are working under the same mission of reach higher sustainable intensification. So again, thank you so much for joining us today, even the last minute notice, Angel. And we are gonna open now the mic for any questions, comments, or opinions anybody will say. If anyone have any question?
No question, no question. May I say something?
Sure.
Only with synergies we can achieve something. So it's a good start today to make this happen. I mean, you bring us all together, so try to have a continuing on this. You know, not just sometimes we organize something and we are not follow up. So it's better to be more active if we want to have a change in our lives, because as I said before, the planet is our home. So if we behave better, we will have better results for the future.
Thank you so much, Isaias, for your great comments. and it's totally right. We are joining efforts just to reach these European Union goals. And we hope that putting together all these initiatives, as an example, the participants that join us today, we could just reach some improvement and find the sustainable intensification during our activities. So thank you so much.
But one point which is also very important, because the European Union is a leader in many things. In the green agenda, we are a leader. But we construct the regulations, first of all, for the internal market within the EU, which is, I have no problem with that. That was my job for many years, and that is normal. But at the same time, we have the ambitions to lead at the world level, which is also written in the European Treaty. It is a very laudable and we need to support this ambition, but we have a small problem, or at least I believe so, is that we don't listen sufficiently to others. And so our very good intentions, our science-based solutions are serious, but we tend to want to impose them on others instead of convincing them that it is important to join this movement towards sustainable intensification. And so part of the things I'm trying to do is a bit to push or to implement this, I think, Italian proverb, but it exists in all languages, is when you walk alone, you walk fast. When you work with others, you work further. And I think for us, and with the help of the journalists, we need to make sure that we take time to consult, to listen. We have problems now with our deforestation law. Of course, the deforestation law is addressing a real problem. We as consumers are triggering deforestation. But if we impose that, if we do potentially, and whatever we do, we need to do it within the limits of the rule-based international order, and we need to do it in the limit of what is being allowed or by the WTO, the World Trade Organization, because we, as a European Union, depend of open markets and depends of a rule-based system, and we should always try in every step that we do to also support and be in conformity with this global system. It's not perfect, but we have only one, so it's better to keep it and try to improve it step by step.
If I may, a question. For starting, I think it's really interesting what you have said about that contribution on combining tradition and innovation when we come to the green transition, because nowadays we normally talk about green technologies and so on. Maybe we have to look after and take, many ways that we normally use it to do in several fields. So I think that is really important. But my question is, do you think that us as consumers can do more when it comes to food sovereignty? I know we can talk about local food and that's it, but sometimes I feel we are close, we cannot do too much, but maybe you can highlight some points and try to understand us, how can we do?
I think that the power that we have as consumer is bigger than what we believe. And one of the things that I say at the beginning is that we produce enough food in the world. But we have two issues. One is called food losses, and the other one is called food waste. Food loss is what is lost during production, during harvest, and during storage. So that is essentially for farmers and for the food chain to control. Food waste is what gets bad in your fridge or in my fridge. And we lose a lot of food by not using it in time. And the global green gas emission of foods that you have in your fridge, tomatoes, salad, fruits, or meat, which cannot be used, the green gas emission are higher than the air transport globally. So is not insignificant, and that is something that you can do every day. When you do your shopping, don't buy too much. When you see that your courgette is getting a bit bad, do a soup. And these sort of things are important. It's very individual, but the collection of individual measures have a huge impact, can have a huge impact.
Dear Angel, I want to say something about that. Usually we buy more than we can eat. And as you say, we waste a lot of food. But during the last years and the economic crisis, we change our habits because we don't have enough money now. You know what I mean? So when we are going to supermarket, we try to have a list. It's the best way for not waste money and food. A list with what we really need. So if we buy more and put it in the fridge, after a few days, they are not useful. We can't eat it, you know. So it's better to buy less and to eat it, and then we are going for a new one. You know, the food is only for a couple of days. We don't have also the money to spend more, and the economic crisis has changed our habits. I agree totally with you.
Does anyone have any questions or comments to add?
The last point on Carla, because I didn't reply, is also how can you support your farmers and producers around your region? When I was giving the example of African countries, I usually get very angry by that because at the end, it is easier for a politician to import food. You control the imports, you distribute in the cities, you make money out of it. No shame in doing money by doing things, but you are not supporting your local farmers. And you are importing food that your local farmers are not always able to produce, while there is other very normal food which can be produced. And there for me I would like to use a platform to make two calls. One is we need to support small farmers around the world. Small farmers are about 500 million around the world, but produce a big share of the food. Of course, is food which is mostly consumed by themselves or in their locality, but they are very, very important. And so that is looking at them, supporting them. They may be small, but they are private sector. They are entrepreneurs. They know what they do. They know what is good in their area and not what does not work. Supporting the small farmers doesn't mean that you oppose big farms, that you oppose innovation, that you oppose digital farming, but you need to find a new way of working which is my second call, is to create a public-private partnership to facilitate intake of innovation so that innovation can trickle down to farmers which are less in a situation to take it easily. And instead of opposing big and small farmers, big farmers can help structure the quality control, the access to technology to farmers smaller who lives around them. So that is we need to shift a bit the model, support your local production, combine private big companies with smaller ones. Extension, education is crucial. And of course, us as consumers also support that when we can, which is not always the case.
This is a very interesting bilateral and multi-channel way to approach the problematic. And it's true that everybody will have the power or an intervention responsibility to add value to this topic. And thank you so much, Angel, because it's true that, as also Carla said, this putting together the traditional ways to approach food security and also the innovative solutions that we are seeing through different projects and with the support of the European Union through the different programs from the Commission, we are sure that we will be able to find solution as the one you mentioned, to create a cooperation association and networking platform for private equity and different public institutions to mitigate the impact of this problematic. So thank you so much, Angel, for your great insights.
One more point, concrete example. With climate change, temperatures are rising and wine production has to adapt. And wine production has been over the last century dominated by a very small number of grape varieties, because that was what the market asked and so on. If the temperature rise, these varieties do not automatically work any longer. And so there is a big research now being done to identify older varieties which were not used, to test them in relation to being able to produce with less water, with more temperature. And that is connecting, again, innovation and tradition. There is innovation which, when it works, is very good, but we have a pool, and is why I was mentioning before, biodiversity loss is a threat to the mankind and is a threat to agriculture. You know probably that in Norway there is a storage of all the seeds produced in the world. We know that there is varieties which may be lost in the Amazons, but also in DRC, the Congo River Basin, in other places. So biodiversity is part of the solution. And for the time being, in the European Parliament, there is a debate to see if farmers should give some of their land to promote biodiversity or produce wheat. And I was just reading an article in Le Monde this morning. China is cutting trees. Is cutting trees to produce wheat, rice, and maize. Is potentially very dangerous. It comes from their political goal of not being dependent from foreign sources. So that goes in the same direction of what we were discussing, that a certain degree of self-production is necessary. But of course, they have a system which is not free market, but is state-controlled economy. So when they change and take the step of increasing production, So you have people cutting trees, irrespective of whether these trees are helping you to control floods or protecting biodiversity. But this debate is taking place today in the parliament, and there is not sure that we will get an agreement, while we know that biodiversity, in particular, if we preserve biodiversity while intensifying production where we can do it safely, is probably the best combination of two.
Great, thank you. I also think, for instance, where I live in the Canary Island or even in Spain, and we need to also find the advantage, not, I don't mean me, but the farmers need to find the advantage to sell it locally instead of internationally, because here in the Canary Island we have problems nowadays with the avocado. It used to be a normal fruit to eat here, but now no one can eat it here, and that is because of the exportation of that products. I know the farmers, they prefer to sell more expensive outside, but you know, we are talking about local consume. This also a threat to get this point. So we need also to find solutions and to do more attractive these options for all, for sure.
I wanted to react on that, because one thing that I didn't mention, but which is very, very important, is sustainability is not only environmental, it is economic. Without farmers, you have no food. So farmers must make a living and must be able to transmit the farm to the next generation. And he has to also to be socially acceptable, because we have been speaking about farmers like they were one type of farmers, and that all similar. No, we have small, we have big. It makes a difference. We tend to see farmers as relatively small and living in the neighborhood. In Spain, we have some macro pharma, very, very big animal production, which is not automatically what consumers would like to see. I grew up in Switzerland. In Switzerland, the situation is not good for farming because of the weather and so on, but you protect farmers because farmers play a role to protect the environment, play a role for tourism, production in Canary certainly is also the case. If I am a tourist and I'm visiting Canary, which I've never done, so I come to speak to you if you invite me, I would like to have wine from Canaries. I was told you have famous tomatoes in your place, and I'm happy as a tourist to be able to see your specialities.
Probably you will find better in Norway or and just joking, but sometimes it happens like that. So thank you. I think we are just finishing. We are just 3 minutes to the time. Thank you for your contributions. We are really happy to have this final discussion. It make us thinking about, you know, as a consumer, as a entrepreneurs, as all roles we have. Thank you so much, Angel. Thank you for sure, everybody. And now we have been talking about these opportunities in green and sustainable economy. As you know, Europe is with the green agenda, which is the Green Deal. And we have some objectives to get before 2050, like zero net greenhouse gas emissions, or preserve our ecosystems, minimizing our waste. For sure, we need to make this happen. We have to live consume and produce in different ways to reach this objective. I think that's all for today. We can conclude now. Thank you so much. We wait for tomorrow with the final session. Tomorrow we're going to have several best practices and some examples, and we will have the opportunity to share again new visions, new opinions, coming from different points of Europe and of the world. And I'm really happy with this because it's really enriching for all of us. So thank you so much. Have a nice evening, afternoon, and see you tomorrow again. Bye-bye.